I started a game of Dungeons and Dragons with some courtyard students around the same time I watched The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. Big thanks to my parents for getting that free yearly trial and a mild spoiler alert for the first episode. Naturally, like the rest of the world, I fell in love with Baby Yoda. I even got this bookmark, courtesy of a courtyard student whose name starts with an A. But more than loving Baby Yoda because he's the most precious little orb of sunlight in the galaxy, I loved him because of his story potential. He's vulnerable, sympathetic, and valuable. The Mandalorian has to babysit him while going on the run, doing jobs to earn money so they can keep fleeing and dealing with all the other hunters trying to collect that big Baby Yoda bounty. There are so many great stories that can exist within that framework, and the audience is hooked because I need to know that Baby Yoda will be okay. Now, around this time, I was thinking of a major story hook for the large scale campaign that I was working on for Dungeons and Dragons. I thought about Baby Yoda, and I thought of one of my favorite 100% original sayings: good artists borrow, great artists steal. And I stole Baby Yoda. Except I didn't really take Baby Yoda. What I did was give the players a valuable dragon egg and a monstrous half dragon sorcerer who wants to steal and exploit it. Now the players have to defend the egg and eventually a baby dragon from this evil sorcerer and his mercenaries, all while adventuring to raise money for their new draconic child. I'll let you in on another secret. I didn't really come up with the saying good artists borrow, great artists steal. I stole that too. From Steve Jobs, who stole it from Picasso. Maybe. It's complicated. But I love that saying because it gets at one of the toughest questions that new game masters have. Where do I get my ideas from? And here's an answer: steal. Steal from movies, steal from television, steal from books, even steal from other dungeon masters. Always be on the lookout for cool characters, locations, adventures, ideas, and plot hooks. Once you look at pop culture as an inspiration, you'll be amazed at the ideas you can take and plop down in your campaigns. But Mr. P, you might cry, stealing is wrong. You're right. But what you're doing isn't really stealing. What you're doing is taking inspiration from your favorite movies or books or so on. Take my Dungeons and Dragons campaign. I didn't steal Baby Yoda and plop him down in front of the players. Instead, I took the idea of Baby Yoda, a helpless, sympathetic creature protected by a hero, and used that to inspire my idea of a baby dragon being protected by the player characters. Copying and pasting isn't the answer. Taking inspiration is. Think about how the character, the monster, the environment, or the feeling can fit into your games. Then place that into the world you already created. So, will your players figure it out? They just might, but that's okay. I've lifted a lot of adventure scenarios from popular culture, and when players figure out the references, they don't feel betrayed or pandered to, they feel smart. They're glad they caught the reference, and they know what sort of vibe your adventure is going for. And you want to know my final defense of stealing? I'll let you in on another secret. Everyone does it. Take The Mandalorian, for instance. You think the creators of that show made up the idea of a vulnerable infant traveling through the land under the protection of a dangerous but honorable warrior? Wrong. They swiped that whole concept from the famous Japanese comic and movie series Lone Wolf and Cub, which features the shogun's executioner on the run with his baby son in tow. But they didn't copy and paste. They took the concept, mixed it up a little, and made it fit into Star Wars. The Shogun's executioner became the Mandalorian. His baby son became Baby Yoda. It's the perfect example of how a classic archetype can be used in a different setting. If you can do that, take inspiration and make it your own, you'll always have a good source of ideas. But how do you put those ideas into a plot that'll make a solid session of high class adventure? That's what I'll talk about next time on Mr. P's Game Master Tips. Until then, farewell, traveler.